What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we've seen the poll numbers go out. When it comes to the president, job approval is underwater. It's been underwater for months now. I mean, I think it started going downhill in March or April of last year. But why is it? Why are we seeing this big change? And so we're going to focus on one demographic of voters. And we're going to take a look at a clip. Harry Enton's going to be talking about this demographic and why they are changing the way they feel about President Trump. And remember, this midterm election is going to be a referendum on the president. And because we're seeing the president's job approval underwater in every category, that is going to impact this midterm election. And we will probably see Democrats pick up some seats in the House and potentially pick up enough seats to take back control of the Senate. So take back control of the House and potentially take back control of the Senate. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. And then one more thing, at the very end, we'll take a look at the Senate map. I'll show you, realistically, we're looking at about 6 states right now that could flip for Democrats, and Democrats could take back control as a result of that. So we're going to take a look at that as well at the end of this video. Okay, let's take a look at the clip first, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
You can't get to record high disapproval with just members of the other party not liking you. So how do you get there? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. So we're not talking about Democrats here. Who are the people dragging down the president's approval ratings?
Who are the people who are dragging down President Trump's approval rating? We are talking about a very important block for the president of the United States. That is Republican-leaning independents. That is what's going on. Take a look here. This is the difference. Trump's approval rating at this point in terms. Independents who lean Republican versus those who are just Republicans only. Look at this among independents who lean Republican. Back in term number 1, he was at 73% at this point in term. Down he goes, an absolute collapse now, just 53% of independents who lean Republican now approve of the president of the United States. That's very different from Republicans only. It was 83 at this point in term number 1. It's 83% now, but that's a 20-point decline in his approval rating, nearly at the 50% mark, with a group that traditionally has very much been in the president's camp.
This isn't just indies. This is independents who lean Republican, people who in theory should be predisposed to like the president. They're talking.
And so just looking at that, so you have independents that lean Republican, so they're more inclined to vote for a Republican. But what about just independents? Independents that might vote for a Republican or they might vote for a Democrat. They're not talking about those. They're just talking about the independents that lean for the Republican Party. And so that's a 20-point shift from President Trump's first term to his current term now. So that, I mean, that's a big move now. And we're looking at GOP only, Republicans only, 83%, and then 83%. So it hasn't changed at all. But when it comes to these independents that lean for Republicans, we're seeing that shift. And this could be what we're seeing in states like Texas, where you have Tallarico now picking up a lot of momentum. Tallarico in the latest polling showing that he's ahead of both Cornyn and Paxton. This could be as a result of that. You could have these independents that in the past lean Republican, and now they're thinking, you know what, this is not, we don't like what's going on. We need another option, and maybe that option could be Tallarico. Okay, let's go ahead and continue.
More about the shift we've seen actually now this time from just a couple years ago.
Just a couple of years ago. Take a look at this shift. Oh my, GOP-leaning independents on Trump. In the 2024 election versus Kamala Harris, he got 91% of that vote, nearly 100, near uniformity on that one. But down he goes, down into the deep blue sea, now at 53% on the job approval rating. John, I'm not that good at math, but I believe that is a 38-point drop. A 38-point drop from where he was in the 2024 election. As I said, this is a core group for Donald Trump, and they are waving, adios, amigos, goodbye. We no longer support you, President of the United States. We are going in the other direction. We're deciding to disapprove, then approve. He's just above 50% in a group that overwhelmingly supported him back in the 2024 election.
That's 18 months ago. I mean, this is a very brief period to drop that much among a group that is part of, frankly, your essential coalition there. So what does this tell us? What does this group think of maybe the congressional elections coming up in 6 months?
Yeah, okay. So you see this 38-point drop here, and you're a Republican member of Congress, say, oh, my God, I hope this doesn't affect me, because if it does, a lot of those swing district congressional members right on the Republican side will be waving adios, amigos, goodbye. by. But you know what's going on here? What's going on here, by the way, this is a 6 and an 8. What we're seeing here, choice for Congress, Republican-leaning independents in the 2024 election. Look at this. They supported Republican candidates by 83 points, but now it's 68 points. That's a 15-point drop again in only 18 months' time. These are not numbers that Republicans win with. These are numbers Republicans lose with.
And so those last numbers that we were looking at, the shift from, what was it, plus 83 in 2024 and now to plus 68 in 2026, this could be what we're seeing when it comes to special elections. We're seeing Democrats outperform. And so if we're looking at like 15-point shift, we could be seeing the independents. They're the ones that are allowing Democrats to outperform because they're voting for Democrats instead of voting for Republicans. And so that's something else that we need to pay attention to. When we were looking at all these special elections, we knew something was going on, but we don't know exactly who those voters are. And so now we're getting a better picture of the independents, but not just independents. The independents that lean Republican are now changing their mind and they're voting for someone else. They might be voting for an independent, which we don't have too many independents running, but we do have one in Nebraska. We do have one in Montana. But some of these independents that lean Republican are also voting for Democrats. And so let me show you our Senate map. And this is basically where we are right now. We have 6 states. 6 states that Democrats have an opportunity to flip. Okay, that doesn't mean that they're going to flip all 6. That doesn't even mean that they're going to flip any of these seats. But they have an opportunity to flip some of these seats. And we'll talk about the opportunity in a minute. But before we even do that, let's look at the breakdown. Right now, Democrats and independents are at 47. Republicans are at 47. And technically, we could say that Republicans have 3 opportunities to flip seats. And one of their opportunities is in Georgia. The other one's in New Hampshire. And then the other one is in Michigan. And so Democrats have to hold those 3 seats because Republicans do have an opportunity to flip those 3 seats because the polling is relatively close in those states. And so the first thing the Democrats need to do, they need to defend those 3 states. Then they need to pick up 4 seats. They need to flip 4 seats. And right now, Democrats have opportunities. They have opportunities that they didn't have 6 months ago. And when we start looking at this map and breaking it down, you can see a clear pathway that Democrats have to take back control of the Senate. North Carolina, I think Roy Cooper can win in North Carolina. Right now, he is polling ahead of his competitor, and he has a real shot of winning, 2-time governor, so he has experience before. He's run statewide races before. And when we're looking at the best possible pickup for Democrats, it's going to be North Carolina. So North Carolina is the first one. The second one, Maine. We just saw Mills. She dropped out of the race, so now Plattner. It's going to be Plattner versus Collins. Plattner polls better against Collins than Mills polled against Collins. And so if you want to look at it that way when it comes to polling, you have the right candidate running against Collins. Collins has been struggling, and when we're looking at Maine, Plattner has a real shot to win in Maine. Looking at another state, I want to take a look at Alaska. I think Peltola has a real shot of winning in Alaska as well. And if Democrats win Alaska, then they would have netted 3 seats. Now they need to net at least 1 more. And so when we're looking, now this is where it gets really, close because we don't know exactly what's going to happen in Texas. When it comes to Iowa, it's an open seat. We don't know exactly what's going to happen there. When it comes to Ohio, same thing. We have Sherrod Brown running against Husted. Husted is the incumbent. He's a Republican, but he has never won a Senate seat before. He was appointed to this position. And so Sherrod Brown, who has won a Senate seat before, does have an advantage when you're looking at that. Now, when we're looking at the latest polling, it's very close. I've seen some polling showing Husted ahead. I've seen some polling showing Sherrod Brown ahead. And most of it's within that margin of error. So we're talking about a toss-up right now, complete toss-up. And I think if we're talking about these 3 states, I would be more inclined to believe that Sherrod Brown has the best opportunity looking at the last 3 states. So if Democrats can win in Ohio, now we're looking at Democrats at 51. That's what they need to take back control of the Senate. But it doesn't end there because realistically, we don't know what's going on with Fetterman. Fetterman has indicated that he is not going to change parties. He's going to stay a Democrat. But he could change if he gets enough, people, Republicans talking to him. And after the election, we're looking at a 51-49 Senate. We could see Republicans convince Fetterman to either become an independent and not caucus with the Democrats or become a Republican. It's really going to be a hard sell for them to do that. And Fetterman has already indicated that he's not going to. But Democrats still could win another seat or two because you have Texas and you have Iowa. I think a lot of people are watching Texas because they're looking at Tallarico. They're looking at the energy. Voters are really energized behind Tallarico. And we're talking about these independent Republicans. Some of them could be inclined to vote for Tallarico. And one thing that Tallarico's been able to do is he's been able to get religious voters energized. And that's something that's important, especially in Texas. So we could see some of the religious right now looking at everything that's going on and saying, you know what, Tallarico is he's a better representation of what we want than what we currently have. And so Democrats do have a chance to even run up the numbers. So net 4 seats, but run up the numbers and win maybe 5 seats or 6 seats. I think Texas would be the next state that we could see flip. And then when it comes to Iowa, we don't know exactly how that's going to turn out, but we could see that flip as well. So just looking at the six toss-ups that I would consider right now that are kind of in that toss-up category, I think Democrats have a real shot at winning 4, at least 4, and then they could run up the numbers if they win in Texas, if they win in Iowa. And if they win in Texas or Iowa, if they net 4 seats and then win in Texas, so net 5 seats basically, then the Fetterman issue we won't even be talking about that. And so we'll have to see how everything plays out. But the bottom line is this is what we're looking at. This is going to be a very close Senate race. And the main reason why it's going to be close is because we have independent voters and some independent-leaning Republican voters that have changed their mind about the president. So I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.